Good morning, everybody. Today is Thursday, February 3rd, 2025. We're here for a work session. As we always start out with the Pledge of Allegiance. Tara, would you mind leading us in the pledge?
Sure. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Tara. Okay, we have a small group in the audience today. They all came by dog sled. A little icky out there today, but because we had a delayed opening today, some of the things we originally had scheduled for work session could not change their schedule to accommodate us now starting at 12 instead of 10 noon. So there are a couple of crossouts. Open session, we're down to 2 items. And the first item we have will be matters surrounding possible code revisions regarding Chapter 301-256, Governmental Authorities Sign Amendment, and Chapter 301-305B, Sub 7, Site Plan Extension, and that will be with Greg Bergman, our planner.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning. All right, so these are 2 very quick little minor code revisions we'll go over. I'll just touch base on the governmental sign authorities proposed code amendment first. So I had received a call from the Riverhead Fire District on Roanoke Avenue. They had inquired about putting like an LED informational type sign out in front of their firehouse on Roanoke Avenue. These are common features at firehouses. You know, they do information about hiring, fire safety, you know, events around town,
Sure.
stuff like that.
Reminders to change your batteries and your
Exactly.
smoke detectors.
So I looked at the existing code regulations regarding our signs, and due to the location of that property, which is Business PB, it prohibits any type of illuminated sign. So they did the right thing. They inquired about how to go about that. There's no real provision to allow it. And then we're also looking at an application where the Riverhead Free Library is looking to do the same thing, put an internally illuminated LED informational sign. So I looked at some other towns, and I found that Smithtown had what basically a governmental authorities signage provision. And this would apply to, you know, town government, libraries, fire districts.
Because the high school has one
So
currently.
that had come up. Schools are not necessarily subject to zoning. That question,
Okay.
Eric Howard did raise that question. How did
Yeah.
they have it? I'm like, I think they just installed it because they're not really subject to local zoning. But so, for example, fire districts, libraries, government buildings.
Sure.
If RVAC wanted to put a little, you know, LED informational sign outside a new building, this provision would allow the town board to waive the signage requirements because a lot of these buildings are located in different zoning districts, so it's not really a mechanism to apply
Address it all.
a uniform to one specific zoning district. So this would just be a simple amendment to allow, they would still have to make an application to us, and upon recommendation by the planning department, you know, we confirm that it generally is an acceptable sign. The town board could waive the requirements of those signage provisions based on the zoning district. Again, they did call and do the right thing. By all rights, they probably could have just installed it. No one really would have said anything, but did my diligence and tried to look at it. So this would be a simple code amendment to allow those signs to sort of be addressed.
Good pick.
Oh, thank you,
Yeah.
because the library, they are in a predicament. They built,
Yeah.
they have it all set to go. They came into the architectural review board and found out the zoning doesn't allow it. So this would be a great fix for them.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
100%.
Thank you.
Thanks, Greg.
Got it. And then the next one is for our existing preliminary site plan extension. Right now, our preliminary site plan approval is good for 12 months with the possibility of 1 6-month extension granted by the reviewing board, whether it's the planning board or the town board. I'll be frank, we have a couple of applications that have expired. They're essentially 18 months on the preliminary approval. What I'm looking to do is add the possibility for an additional 6-month extension, which would effectively bring that preliminary approval to be valid for 2 years for applications. Rather than, you know, there's no mechanism to approve anything beyond that 18 months. A lot of times, there's many applicants who, whether they take a long time to submit their SWIB, they take a long time working through the health department. Some things are within their control, some things are not within their control. So I think a additional 6-month extension would allow that preliminary approval to be valid for 2 years. Beyond that, I think it is reasonable that an applicant, if they haven't gotten their stuff together in 2 years, would need to make a new application. I don't know if the board wants to, we can potentially look at a reapproval process, but just to sort of get the initial applications that we've got that are sort of running out their clock, I'd like to add one additional 6-month extension period. And we would also add, right now, we have no fee or anything when they request that extension, so there would be a $250 extension fee.
So Greg, no, I have a question. So, Health Department, how long is that process, would you say?
That's fully dependent. I mean, if you talk to applicants, they speak to the health department a lot of times. It's like a black hole. That said, I have seen applicants who are diligent in their work with the health department and get through relatively quickly. There are other applicants who, frankly, I don't know what they're doing at the health department, but
No,
we don't get involved. That's not an application to us, so
Understood.
could take anywhere from 3 months to possibly a year. How it depends on how responsive they are.
I think that's the biggest question, though. For the most part, you would seem that it shouldn't be a problem for anybody to complete it within 2 years?
I don't see any problem with that. I mean, I've had applications where they'll wait 8 months to submit a stormwater pollution prevention plan to the town engineer, which, again, that 8-month delay is fully in an applicant's court. There are typically some revisions that go forth with a SWIP review between the reviewing engineers. But again, we generally wrap that up relatively quickly, all things considered, once it's submitted to us. But we can't compel an applicant to kind of get their stuff together and make the required submissions.
But an applicant should be ready to submit to health department or all other agencies almost simultaneously when submitting to the town.
Correct.
And then that would move things in a more timely.
Correct. And, so the preliminary approval for a site plan application typically includes some conditions, if there's any major revisions to the plan. So a preliminary approval would be granted subject to showing the following revisions. So essentially, an applicant sort of has their marching orders. They're aware of what needs to change. The plans show these following revisions. Get your stormwater pollution prevention plan approved. Health department. If there's DOT approval, DPW, that sort of thing. That preliminary approval basically spells out exactly what they need to do to satisfy conditions and then get that final approval.
So they use, for their SWIP plan, they use an outside agency, right?
Correct.
Okay, so, and that, how long does that take usually?
The outside DNB architects and engineers, they are very responsive. They generally, when an applicant submits a stormwater pollution prevention plan, I don't want to step on Drew's toes, but it's generally they will have a round of comments and responses back within 2 weeks.
Okay, that's important to know. Now, in terms of like H2M, how long does that take? I'm just trying to get general things because we could look at the dates they submit things also and base, see what's happening. And I've had my own experiences with the health department. I've gone in there and they said, we're not going to open after 30 days. So I understand that piece, but
So dealing with H2M, typically, they're looking for the preparation of a map and plan. By the time we issue a preliminary approval, that map and plan is typically finished. That's something we need to know to order, generally in order to finish SECRA, in order to adopt that preliminary approval resolution. We will typically recite the conditions and the requirements of that map and plan. So that's not really so much an issue once the preliminary approval is granted. I fully believe that once that preliminary approval resolution is granted, the applicant's aware and they're generally well within their control to keep the ball moving on their end.
okay.
Greg, can I just ask, so there would be, for the first extension, you're going to pay a $250 extension fee, and the second extension, you'll pay another
Correct.
$250. Do you see any detriment in allowing these 2 extensions?
No, I mean, again,
I'm just asking.
being cognizant of the fact that some things can take long with, New York State DOT,
Oh, I agree.
Health Department. Again, I think 2 years is a very reasonable time frame. I mean, again, beyond that, if an applicant's not really serious about moving a project forward, that's really in their court. And, if they choose not to, move forward and go past a preliminary approval, that's within their, their wheelhouse. But
Thank you.
I think 2 years to satisfy conditions of preliminary approval is more than reasonable.
Okay.
Anything beyond that, and again, when you start going out past 2 years, we may adopt zoning district changes. There may be changes in conditions that may require us to sort of re-examine things. If there's been significant developments subsequent to that preliminary approval in an area that may require additional sort of review, That's something to take into consideration too.
Yeah, with that, and that's a really good point, is 250 enough? In other words, if somebody basically they go beyond the expiration date, right? And zoning has changed or whatever, and it completely changes their application, shouldn't that be, how do you gonna view that? I mean, $250, is that enough to cover
Well,
what
so
you're reviewing?
the $250, I mean, really, we basically just sort of re-review the file. In theory, nothing's really changed for
Right,
that
it's an
extension.
extension, it's not
We draft
changing what
an
the original-
approval, we draft an
No,
approval,
I-
we sort of
I
do
No, I understand that, but to your point about the zoning may have changed, and maybe what they applied for doesn't apply to the zoning anymore. Is that what you're intimating? That's what I got. That's why I asked the question.
So, I mean, again, it's something to consider. I think if an applicant has a preliminary approval and they're within that approval period, we're not trying to pull the rug out from people
Right.
and change zoning. I think we would work in good faith to sort of consider an application and not change it midstream, once they've sort of gotten a preliminary approval. But again, that $250 is really just for administration, preparation. It's not really a significant review of a new project. We're sort of just making sure everything's, making sure the steps are being followed and preparing a resolution to either the planning board or the town board.
Great, thank you.
I have no problem with it. I
Right.
think it's fair and it'll work out better.
Would I be okay to prepare resolutions for public hearings for the next board meeting for these two code amendments? All
I'm good with it.
Yes.
right,
Okay.
excellent. Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank
Greg.
you.
Thanks, Greg. Okay, the last item we have today for open session is our now famous Riverhead in Action featuring our tax receiver's office. Hollywood has been calling us about these Riverhead in Action
The
stints.
amount of
and
autographs that you give.
We keep warding them off and tell them, nope, we're not interested.
And they can buy commercial airtime now, I
Yes.
understand.
Yes. Hi, this is Tim Hubbard, supervisor of the great town of Riverhead, and you're watching Riverhead in Action, a media campaign designed to highlight the incredible work of the 350-plus employees that comprise Riverhead's 26 departments and sub-departments, town events, projects, job openings, local businesses, and other town happenings. I hope you find this informative and enjoyable, and thank you for watching Riverhead in Action. Okay, we're here today with another series of Riverhead in Action, and today we have the pleasure of talking with Lori Zaneski, who happens to be our receiver of taxes. And we're outside her office in the beautiful lobby of Town Hall right now. But the purpose of Riverhead in Action basically is to let people know in the town what our town workers do. And if you're new to the town, you may not know where to go and pay your taxes. If you've lived here forever, maybe you've mailed your taxes in, or your mortgage company pays your taxes, and you've never actually had to come into the receiver of taxes office. But today we're trying to show you exactly what it is they do. So Lori, if you wouldn't mind, we'll take a walk into your office now.
Perfect.
And,
Yeah, come on in.
we'll talk some things about what the receiver of taxes does, and just inform the public on what your job is.
Perfect.
Okay?
Yep. So we actually collect the tax payments, the water bills, and we also do some duties for the sanitation department as well as selling the yard waste facility stickers. We have the recycling stickers, and we have recycling stickers for your cans. Welcome. Here's our office.
Okay, this is the office of the receiver of taxes. So when you have that happy day in your life that you have to come and pay your taxes,
Yes.
this is the office you come to. But I will say one thing, we get a lot of comments about you and your staff, and quite honestly, you're very pleasant dealing with the public, because it is not a happy time when you have to
No,
pay
people
taxes,
are
and everybody
not
gets
happy.
that, and everybody has to do that. One thing I never really thought about is all the entities that you collect taxes for. You collect taxes for the school district, for the library, for the fire departments, for the parking district. There's like 13 different entities
Yeah, a
that
lot
you
of
actually
lines.
collect all the taxes
Yep.
for. And on top of that, people come here for other regions. And you mentioned the sanitation waste. You can get your yard waste permit or sticker here.
Yep.
So you come in to purchase that, so you can take your own individual yard waste up to our facility on Youngs Avenue. Private individuals only, no landscapers or
Correct.
anything like that. But this office is so busy at times during December, January, and
May and June.
April, May, June, when the taxes are due.
On top of the water payments,
On
yeah.
top, that's right, the water payment, you do the water bills here too. The lines are actually out the door, and that's why you'll see they have the rope set up here for people to come in lines. But it's busy, and you can always tell when it's tax season, because the
Yes.
line is out the door. People are coming in to do that deed of paying their taxes, but, you know, it's a necessity for the town to run. And again, you don't set the taxes.
No.
You just collect
I
them.
just collect.
Okay, just to be sure. We do that on the
Yeah.
town board with our budgets and everything. So people shouldn't come in and say to you, why am I paying so much? It's not up to you. It's not you. You're just collecting it. You're being a good person.
Yeah.
You make a bad situation good, if you
We
will.
try to.
And you do a very good job with that. So I know you're going to go on and explain more of what goes on in here, because
Yep.
it is a very busy office. And we'll move on to that next, okay? So it was
great.
really good talking to you.
Yes, you too.
Oh, also, it's important to note that you are an elected official, the rest of your staff is not.
Right,
And
Lisa,
you
my
run-
deputy's appointed, yes.
She's appointed, and every 4 years you
Every
run
4
for a
years I
term.
run,
Okay.
yes.
Very good. Well,
Yeah.
let's hear what else the tax receiver has going on.
Okay, great.
Thank you very much,
Thank
Lori.
you, it was good to see you.
You too. All righty.
Hi, I'm Lori Zaneski. I'm the receiver of taxes for the town of Riverhead. Welcome. I'm going to give you a tour of our office and tell you everything that we do. But first, before you enter the building, I'd like you to see we have a drop box out front for during off hours, or if you don't want to wait on the line, you can drop your tax and water payments right in here. We do check the box every morning and every afternoon. So come on inside. I'll show you our office. We actually do handle some responsibilities for our sanitation department as well. We sell our yard waste stickers for them. This is this year's color, it's purple. You need to come into the office with your registration and proof of residency. The fee is $60. It is for only your personal yard waste. No landscapers are permitted in the facility. It's on Youngs Avenue. We also hand out the recycling schedules if you need them. And we also have these stickers that can go on your recycling can that you can put out on your recycling day. This is how we get in. You enter through the front door, you come all the way to the beginning of the building, you make a right, and you're going to come inside to our office. We're in a little alcove over here. So this is the inside of the office. When you come in over here, you're going to enter right over there. We have 2 windows. During tax season, we do have both windows open because there is a lot of payments being made. You can come inside, and I'll introduce you to the staff. Can you turn it off for a sec? This is Rachel Elwood. She is one of my assistants. This is Lisa Richards. She is the deputy tax receiver. Right now, Rachel's opening the mail. We do have a machine that puts the mail through and slices it for us. Lisa's in the process of printing out over 1,000 first half late notices that will be going out in the mail tomorrow. So our tax bills are mailed out in mid-December. If you don't have it by Christmas, that would be a red flag to give our office a call so we can get that out to you. The first half is due January 10th. The second half is due May 31st. This year, the 31st falls on a Saturday, so you actually have until Monday to pay that. We are in the process. They just went to the mailing company yesterday. If you escrow your taxes, the mortgage company will pay it, and then we send you out a receipted copy. This is what it'll look like, and it says receipt across the front and void on the bottom. So if you get this in the mail within the next week or so, actually every year in January, this is your informational purposes because you're escrowing your taxes. The reminder notices for the second half go out in April, so that way it's a courtesy to remind you to pay your taxes. We also collect for the water bills. They can also be paid in the drop box, and the taxes and water and the yard waste we collect. You can pay cash, check, debit or credit card, e-check, or online with your bank account as well. So I think that covers everything. We have a lot going on, and I know you guys don't like to come in and pay your taxes, but we try to make it as friendly and nice as possible, and we wish you a happy, healthy New Year. Thank you.
Very nice. The little cone at the end.
We will obviously continue doing these with all the departments, again, to just alert the public on what it is the different departments do, and again, new people move into town, it gives them a little idea of what we do here, so we appreciate that. Okay, that's all we have for open session today. We're going to go into executive session to discuss under legal matters surrounding litigation between the town of Riverhead and Suffolk County. That will be with HUBBARD, PRUDENTI, REICHEL, and DIPAOLA. Contractual matters surrounding contractual agreement with the town of Riverhead and CVE. That will be with KERN and PRUDENTI. We have matters surrounding contractual agreement between the town of Riverhead and HONK. That will be with HOWARD. And under personnel, we have matters surrounding the possible hiring of a part-time employee with DIPAOLA. And we have matters surrounding change in status of an employee with PRUDENTI and STRIPLIN TO. So if I could have a motion to close open session, and we will retire to executive session.
So moved.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, we are now closed from open session, and we will go to executive session. Thank you, everybody. Stay warm, and have a great weekend. We'll see you all next week.